what's up? This is Jordan Gray from Half Lit and DopeliveTV.
Hey, this your boy Don Ritchie representing the Midwest 219. Stand up.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's Lamar Tate.
This is your girl, Monifa.
Hey, what up? It's your man, Dave Hollister from Blackstreet.
You know who this is right here. This Trigger Tretch in the building.
Hey, what's up, y'all? This is your boy, Jason Weaver. And whenever I'm back home in the Chi, I'm checking out Dope Living TV.
Hey, it's your girl, Adina Howard, and you're watching Dope Living TV, live with Greg Gray and the crew.
Yo, what's up? It's your guy. It's your boy. It's your man on Thursday. It's Greg Gray, Dope Living TV live. Gotta tell you right off the bat, the views that are expressed on this Dope Living TV live are not necessarily the views of Dope Living TV or its affiliates. And see, I get it right every time. Every single time I get it right. So I got to give myself, myself. Gina waiting on it too, but I'm not going to do it, all right? Today, man, on the show, we're gonna have a great show. We have Miss Viola Gray Wiley. She is an author. She's a retired educator. She got a lot of stuff to tell us about. Okay, it's gonna be Gina's interview because it's in her wheelhouse. So I'm gonna shut up and bring my sister on.
You don't know how to shut up. That'll be the day.
No, I know
What's happening?
Let's bring all my mans and them. Mr. Moby.
What's up?
Hey, Marie.
Oh, man, it's been a good day today. It was a good day today.
Today was a good day.
Every day a good day.
Yeah, it is.
Ain't that right, Kevin?
Every day is a good day as long as there's no
What's happening, Kev?
Every day. So I'll tell you, so every day is a good day. As long as there ain't no dirt on your top of every day is a good day. I tell you what. How you doing, Mr. Greg and Mrs. Gina? How you doing?
I am good.
How you doing, brother?
Man, I'm so happy, man. I could jump over a picket fence with high heel boots on and some spurs. You know what I'm saying?
Right. With razor wire going across the top.
Y'all are terrible cowboys. Sorry to say.
Every day.
I had a great day. I just got finished working with a young man that just got his acceptance letter to James Madison University.
Wow.
And we started.
Congratulations.
I'm going to tell you, today was a great day.
Awesome.
James Madison University. Yep. Y'all don't know nothing about that?
Yeah, we do.
Better tell him, James Madison University.
And this young man's a baller. This man's he's next level, going to the next level. He's the next level.
That's what's up. Congratulations to I don't even know his name, but congratulations.
Stephen Hollander.
It's for you, bro. That's for you, bro. We got you. I'm playing, dude. Check this out. Let me stop.
I was going to say Jamaican horns next. That's exactly what I was going to say.
But here's the good one. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
All right, let's stop. I'm sorry. Let's get focused back.
Focus.
Gina, what we got today?
Man, I'm telling you, this young lady has so much in her portfolio. We met on another podcast, and I believe the podcast was doing a week of authors. So she had her day where she talked about what she's doing in her books, and I had my day. And you know what? When you run across good people, you always seem to connect, and that's exactly what happened. We connected We talked, we've been talking, and I invited her on the show. And she has a lot that's coming up. I'm going to let her talk about it. She has a lot that she's done. I'm going to let her talk about that too. But we're going to bring her on, Viola Gray Wiley.
I like the like that middle
Good
name.
evening, everyone. Good evening. Good to be here with you guys.
All right.
Yes. I was going to ask if you guys are related.
Yeah, we related.
We could be. That's why some people leave the S off and some added, but you know.
Hey, my last name is Gray as well. So,
okay.
You know, you can hyphenate all day long. We family.
Yeah. All right. That's it.
So what's going on?
I'll tell you, I've been just busy during this pandemic. I couldn't let the kids fall behind. I got busy writing because I was caught in the pandemic. I was mentoring teachers, and we had to leave the school building and come home. Well, I had tons of knowledge in my head, but mentoring teachers from home and being in the classroom through Google Classroom, I had to come up with a new strategy for helping teachers. So I started writing down some of my expertise, putting it inside of books. Hopefully that will continue to help schools across the nation and as well as internationally. And so far, it seems to be doing just that.
All right. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's cool. So you are a retired teacher.
Yes, 35 years.
35 figure years.
And you're still talking. You're still speaking English pretty good, I see.
It
didn't affect you too bad.
Wow. What did you teach?
Everything.
Yeah,
I started working. I'm an elementary education major from Mississippi Valley State University, but I started out working. My first job assignment was to help 11th and 12th graders who were 3 or 4 years below level to get them to a decent graduation reading rate. So they could not read. They were probably performing somewhere between the 6th and 7th grade level there in Mississippi.
Wow.
Okay. So you taught a lot of different subjects.
I've taught pretty much all subjects in the elementary category. Reading, math, science, social studies, spelling, handwriting, you name it. We teach it, whatever it is. But for the past latter years of my teaching, I was mentoring teachers in Hazel Crest, Illinois.
Okay, cool. So you was teaching all of them things. You taught at the Jamaican School for the Arts, didn't you?
Almost.
14 jobs. 14 jobs, damn it.
Man, that's just teaching. That's a good thing, though. That's a good thing. Gina. I say Gina.
I'm here.
You're not. Just you silent over there, okay?
I'm here.
You know this woman. Who this woman is, Gina?
Well, you know what? Viola and I talked about a lot of her accomplishments, and we are really in line as far as her endeavors. She's dealing with distinguished authors, and of course everyone knows I'm dealing with distinguished authors, so of course we connected. But I'm gonna let her talk about first and foremost what's coming up May 7th.
Oh wow.
Well,
okay, great question.
Before you do that, we need to know the journey first. All right, then we can come up to the beginning. Let's talk about the journey. You know, what got you? I mean, what got you started doing
writing? Teaching or writing?
Either one you want to go on.
Okay. What got me started teaching was my mom. She wanted me to be a teacher from, I guess, as soon as I could know what a school building was. She said, I want you to be a teacher. Well, there in Mississippi, she had completed 8th grade, and it was very difficult many times for African-American ladies to continue their education back in those days when she did in the 40s and 50s. So I knew that I wanted to be a teacher after my first year in first grade. I loved my first grade teacher, And she was just so compassionate and so receptive to everyone, regardless of backgrounds. And I learned that later on to appreciate her, and I still reach out to her even today. But that really put in me the desire to help people. And teachers are really special people because they don't just wear the teaching hat. They wear all the hats when those children enter the building. Mm-hmm. So I've been that teacher, and I always wanted to grow. I wanted to become better, no matter how my students scored or whatever. I wanted them to do even better. So I'm that teacher that's always reaching out and looking for innovative strategies, looking for new concepts and ideas, and being receptive to people who know a little more than I do. So I was fortunate enough to run into Dr. Ogden Lensley, and he is the father, if you Google him, the father of precision teaching, and one of the students of B.F. Skinner. So I was able to work with him in conjunction with a project we worked with in the city of Chicago. And he, with the teachers and the people in the city of Chicago, selected me as the teacher representative for the city of Chicago. So I spoke to an international audience at the Hyatt Regency. And because I moved students 3 or more years within 6 months, I moved students up who were behind. I moved them 3 or 4 years within 6 months, just based on my expertise and training under Dr. Ogden Lensley. So I'm a person who can move schools. I can move students regardless of where they are. I can move them knowing what I know about education.
So you're that teacher. We all have that teacher that we have such an impact on us. We never forget those teachers.
Absolutely.
I'm that teacher, and I put that mentoring into a book. I was mentoring teachers, as I told you earlier, in Hazel Crest. So I put a lot of my strategies into that. And from that, Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, and Jeff Bezos, Reese Witherspoon, those guys, The Rock and the Sharks on the Shark Tank, they selected me as the number 2 author in the world for mentoring teachers based on my book. This book right here, Next Level Teaching, this book, and 21st Century Teacher Mentoring. So if you Google my name and CNN, you'll see me on CNN because Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, Jeff Bezos, those guys selected me as the number 2 author in the world for mentoring teachers.
She said, Google me. Google me.
Who's number 1?
Me.
I forgot who was number 1, but I am number 2.
You just remember number 2.
We're going to find them and relocate them so you can be number 1.
Okay, sounds great. And just found out today I was moved up by those same individuals I just mentioned. They moved me up to number 4 for having the best teacher mentoring book of all times. Wow. So I was moved up today to number 4 in 2022.
And that's a great
congratulations.
Thing.
Yeah.
Tina James watching on YouTube says, I applaud you, sister. Also godly, gifted within the tenderness and compassion surrounding child education. Michelle Kane says, good evening, family.
Hi, Michelle.
Hey, Michelle.
So that's Viola, that's
and our
very
brother Chris. Hey, Chris.
That's very impressive. Very impressive.
Thank you all.
Yes, it is.
It's good to see somebody elevating themselves with paper and pen. Like we had a couple of them on here.
Elevating others along the way.
She's giving back. That's what she's supposed to reach one, teach one. Way to go, baby girl.
Yes.
So
why did you stop teaching? I know it's a crazy question because 35 years, that's a long time. Man.
Why did I stop? Great question. You know what? I retired in 2018. I was only retired for 1 month. There was such a need for teachers in the classroom. So many classrooms were in need of teachers. So I went back after 1 month of retirement. So in August of 2018, I was back in the classroom teaching again in Country Club Hills, Illinois.
Wow. Right. My stepmother taught in Chicago.
Okay. Wow.
Carolyn Bishop.
That's one of the. I mean, I think that's one of the. They say policemen and firemen, but I think teaching is a really hard profession.
It makes all the other professions possible.
Yep,
Yeah.
it's a thankless job, and I'm glad we're giving you your roses now.
Seem like you love it. If you love it, you never work a day in your life.
Yes, that's it. That's it. I love seeing the children progress, and I love helping children of color. I love because they for so long we have been behind, and I just could not wait for after 400 years. I didn't want to take any more chances of us getting any further behind because of the pandemic. So I wrote a lot of books related to literacy. I'm a literacy coach. So I wrote all the books related to literacy during the pandemic to help our children. Now, if I could just get those books into the schools, that would really be great.
Oh, that's too much like the truth, you know?
After, I mean, you look good for 400 plus years. I mean,
Thank you. I try.
That's the spirit.
He stays out of the sun and off the boat.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And shout out to my friend Patricia Boyd.
Don't mess with that
Bling.
poke.
She says, "Congratulations, teachers transforms lives."
They do.
Most definitely. You all check Patricia Boyd out as well. Okay, Beauty and Bling. She got her own podcast here.
Where can you get your books?
Amazon. They're all on Amazon. I started publishing with a publishing company in Indiana, Westbow Publishing, Westbow Press there in Indiana. But after that, I knew I needed to get the books into the hands of parents because many of the parents became teachers during the pandemic. So I knew I had to get the books to them quickly. And who can move anything faster than Amazon? No one. So there we go. So the books are all available at Amazon.com.
So tell us about your book journey, because you got a lot of books.
You know what? I started with this little book, Quality Teaching. And for this one, that's why I'm in Memphis on Saturday. But this book was my first book because I put in simple things. It's a thin book, but it's filled with nuggets of insight and about the teacher prep programs from the different universities, why some of them do not adequately prepare teachers for the profession.
No.
So I put that inside of the book. And if you Google that quality teaching book today, it was first book published in 2020, but even today it's still number one in the world because Google is 98% of the world. So this book is number one. If you Google pandemic teaching books, you will see this book is number one in the world for pandemic teaching. And it's because I think I caused the readers to go back and think about the one-room schoolhouses and for people to know that you can make this work during a pandemic. You can help these children. You can move our children to the front of the line, even though it's a pandemic. Don't make me preach.
All right.
Hey,
Go and let go.
How many books have you published?
Since 2020, 100, I think like 100.
Google said 104.
112, 13, somewhere in there.
Damn.
Good Lord.
100.
You don't have any free time. All you do is
Right.
talk and write.
You know what? I mean, those thoughts come to me, and I know because I've been in the classroom for 35 years. I know what the needs are. I know what the children really need. I know how our children learn best. I've taught diverse populations of students, but I know how Black and brown children learn best because I've been there. I've been a reading coach. I've been a literacy coach. So I know what they need in real time. So I wanted to put those nuggets of information together in the books for parents as well as children.
Little Lady Justice is also a teacher. She's motivated. Teachers Club. Go ahead, Gina.
May I ask Viola, how are the books accepted outside of the Black and brown community?
You know what? When I go places, now that's I love that question, because if I can just get them into the Black and brown communities, there are so many barriers when you're trying to get your books into schools because they have books that are not moving the children, but because it's comfortable, they reorder the same books every year, and they see populations after populations of children failing, but they don't want to change what is happening. They won't change the blueprint.
Why is that?
I wish I knew. I wish I knew. Because if I was, and many of them, I hate to say this, but they are African American educators, administrators, and policymakers who are holding our children back.
Well, I have a little bit of insight on that because I did approach some of the schools with Alpha's Adventure. And what I was told is they have a contract. I think one of the biggest contracts there was Scholastics. And then they cannot accept any other books outside of what those contracts offer. So they pretty much get locked in. And they can, like you say, they continue that cycle year after year after year, and no other types of books can even infiltrate the school system because they're under that contract. And so I'm assuming that they probably say these are the only books that you can accept or that you can use.
Isn't that holding that's a way of holding us back though? That's
called monopoly.
Yes.
But who owns Scholastics? It's not the brown and black community.
So how do we change that though? Tina James says, fear our people are becoming illiterate. I'm sorry, literate.
Yeah, becoming literate.
Literate.
In other words,
they're afraid that we're going to get too smart.
Or the truth. In most cases,
we're going to be like torpedoes.
Knowledge is power. Yeah. Knowledge is power. But how do we change that narrative though?
I know
that question I can't answer, so I'm gonna turn that over to Viola.
I can't really answer that question the way I would love to answer it because I don't know the answer. But I know that parents and people in the communities have to band together and form a coalition to change the status quo. As long as we keep rocking the boat the way it's rocking, and you're not seeing anything any different, but you are satisfied with that. You're not speaking up. You're not doing a revolt. I mean, that's what should be happening in schools across, because I even started at home. You know, charity begins at home. So when I started this, trying to get the books into schools, where did I go? Home, Mississippi. Mississippi told me in October of 2021 that they selected their books for the next 5 years. And no matter if the kids are failing or whatever, they're not going to change their programs or even revisit the program for the next 5 years. But not only Mississippi, I think it's Indiana. There are tons of states that have that same policy where the state select the books for the school.
And what you just brought up, Viola, is really key. If you think about it, parents have a voice, but how many parents? I mean, think about how many. I go to the
PTA meeting. Yeah,
I go to the different meetings they have. I meet with my granddaughter's teachers. I met with my kids' teachers. A lot of the parents don't even take that step. So as far as advocating for what their children are reading, they're not going to go that far.
No, they don't even pick up the report cards.
So it really, it takes the parents voicing, they're taxpayers. These are their children. If they take an interest in what they're reading and what they're learning, hey, you got people out there in the other communities that's banning books, that's saying, I don't want this book in my, the classroom and my children reading it, and they take it out. Why can't we advocate to get different books in our schools?
That's right. I mean, you think about them and fly on the wall. Critical race theory, they try to snatch that out so quick it wasn't even funny. And you know what's so crazy about this? This is, if you think about it, somebody's pocket getting in line big time because
big time.
I mean, because it basically getting paid to keep us stupid.
Yes.
Keep our community stupid. But when it comes down to something that's real and real, which is the critical race theory thing. When it's something real and real, then we got some problems.
I can't. Go ahead, Mark. Finish.
I'm just saying. It's a double-edged sword, and we get cut every time.
Every time.
Tina says we're stronger in numbers, and it takes all of us to hold strong to our beliefs. And Bree Barnett says, absolutely, I can't. I go to many meetings because my daughter can't. I just can't fathom the fact that and I've been out of school for a while, but I can't fathom the fact that books are regulated. We didn't know that back then. I don't guess.
Nope, we didn't.
Books are regulated so that these kids only learn what they want.
Yeah,
and that's exactly right. That's how Dr. Seuss got into the book schools.
Yeah, exactly. But you think about this too. In Indiana, we used to pay a book rental. to go to school every
Oh,
year.
oh,
We
yeah,
paid
well,
a book
yeah,
rental every year. School's supposed to be free. Basically, it ended up being paying for school because when I moved back to Indiana, my kids, we were paying $125 per child in Indianapolis.
Yeah, and if you didn't pay that book
You
rental,
don't get no
you
diploma.
didn't get your diploma
That's right.
when it was time to
That was
graduate.
back then. I don't know about now.
Yeah.
The other thing,
I know it ends up on the credit now.
So Viola, basically what I'm trying to understand is that they're basically trying to program us.
They definitely are programming us, and for many of the students, they are programming them into special education and prisons.
Yep.
They are programming them into special education because in the top program in the United States, they use a program that has been, according to what's on the internet, it says that Black children are inferior and white kids are superior. And that program is used that's the #1 program in the United States to determine if a child should be in special education.
Wow.
That program, I won't call the name, but that program is what they use to program our children for special education. And a lot of the Black and brown kids, because they're considered your tier 3 students, that's the students who failed a recent assessment at the school. If they scored 2 or 3 years below, they're considered tier 3. And for tier 3, that means you're pipelining them into special education and prisons.
Money.
So
money on top of money, making money.
Yes.
You're not making money on slavery, but it might as well be if they're in prison.
Yes.
You know?
Go ahead, Kevin. You were saying something?
No, I was saying they're censoring education, and in some places, especially here on the East Coast, parents have to put pressure on the school board. Parents have to put pressure on their local officials in order to change the narrative to have this done. And it can be done, but parents have to put the pressure on.
They got to show up. Parents got to show up.
And
Yeah, that's what's lacking. That's what's lacking. I'm going to give you an example really quick because I have a family member that just moved here from Indianapolis to Gary, and we've been trying to get her in public school for almost a month. Now,
what?
I was told everybody is accepted in public school. So they've gotten to a point where they decided, well, it's so late in the school year, we're going to put her in night school. And then she has to go to summer school. Then she has to test in order for them to decide if they're going to put her in the 10th grade, which is what she's in now, or move her to the 11th grade. My thought pattern is, why would they move her to the 11th grade? If she tests, they're probably going to say she failed. She needs to go back and repeat the 10th grade because now they have a student that they get paid for another year. I went and I registered her in another school that's going to accept her in the 11th grade as soon as the school year opens because I see the agenda that the public school is trying to do with her.
That's so crazy.
And I'm not going to allow it.
That's crazy. That is so crazy. And you know, I think about the millions of things that we can speak up with. I mean, the first thing we can do is get our kids a really good start. And that real good start is in education. I mean, you know, period. I mean, get people that care like you that's doing a job that they're, you know, that are being paid for. You got a lot of folks that just don't have the patience to be teachers that are teaching schools. We're looking at this stuff, and you got here in Tennessee, well, these folks are just molesting the crap out of kids. You know, I mean, you look up on Tennessee, and it's just ridiculous how many sexual, you know, assault cases and things are coming up here.
So Viola, you were in education for 35 years.
35 years.
And I know you've seen the change, period. Okay. At what point and I'm not saying you per se, but at what point does a teacher say, you know what, I'm doing all I can to do the right thing, but they're not letting me do the right thing. So I gotta stop. There's nothing more I can do. They're not valuing what I'm doing. So why am I still doing it?
You asking me why did I retire?
Yeah, well, basically, yeah.
That was it. That was it, because I knew what worked for students and they didn't want me to do it. So yeah, after I said 35 years, that's it, because there's so many guidelines in the school. You can't do this. I even went to it, school administrators, and say, this will put your school in the status of blue ribbon. You can become number 1 or number 2 in the state. And she said, well, we don't want to do that. We're going to keep using the program we have. So you just,
in other words, fly low.
yes.
They refused,
Yes.
Did they refuse because you were black, or because they just?
She was black, and
there we go.
She was black, and I'm black, and
Just
she
fly
said,
low.
from Indiana. She was
Level
black,
of
and
expectation.
said no.
I actually asked a great question. How many schools are still open in Gary? Right now, here's the thing you should say. Ashley, how many public schools are still
Public
open?
schools.
All right.
There's
That's
a lot of
the question
chartered
you-
schools.
Because charter schools are taking over, period. So how many public schools are in Gary, Indiana? And
One
I'm not
high
sure.
school. Westside is the only high school that's open now.
Only public high
Elementary.
school.
There's
I think
one
there's-
high school.
What about elementary?
Wow.
I think Beveridge.
They have combined a lot of
Beveridge is still the only elementary, correct?
yes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then we have Bailey, which is a STEM has the STEM classes, and that's one of the things I tried to get my granddaughter in when she was in public school for a hot less than 3 months. It was horrible. She had never been in public school before, but I tried to get her in the STEM classes, and they told me the only school that offered them was Bailey.
Wow.
Ashley says she went to Lou Wallace in Calumet. Lou Wallace is a thing of the past. They tore that down.
Yeah, they just mowed that down. That was on the site.
Just leveled it.
Too. Tina James says the teachers are spending more time with discipline issues than teaching. Parents do not support the administration. I mean, that's
true, Tina.
A good.
That's so.
She brought up a good.
Go ahead, Maurice.
She brought up a real good, a good subject there. I mean, we don't have social studies because the social studies are taught by the computers now. The way we interact with each other is not taught by a human being. It's taught by a computer.
So, Viola, do you think that the kids, the students these days are actually being educated properly?
What kids you're talking about? Tell me, which color?
Let's say the ones that are getting ready to transition.
Melanated kids.
Transition into college.
The black and brown kids are not being adequate.
That's all I'm talking about. Black and brown kids. That's all I'm talking about.
Yeah. They're not being educated properly, and there's a reason for that, and that leads to that pipeline going to prison. I mean, because the prisons are constantly being rebuilt across the nation, bigger and better and nicer and more funded prisons are just being added everywhere you look. They're trying to renovate prisons and make them bigger and better and nicer. So if you can get all of our children into those special education classrooms, if they can't read, children are going to be successful at something. If they're not successful in the classroom, they're going to be successful on the street carjacking. So you might as well make them successful in the classroom and save your own life.
So they take that same education deal and basically stick it in the prisons, and somebody makes some money off of that in the prison system. What they were supposed to do while they were going through school.
Yes. Yes.
Well, what they've done, the remodeling, it's a couple of things. Now in most of the states, they have a open carry system that's in place, so it makes it easier for us to
get in trouble.
Our children in prison for longer terms, even though everyone has the right to bear arms. Is that you can't carry a gun and drink. You can't carry the gun and be truant. You can't carry a gun and have a license that's expired. It requires 5 years. So since the legalization in most states of marijuana, which was the gateway into our children into prison, they've now replaced another system. Now, the question that I want to ask you, you mentioned a lot of very prominent names. How come the Gates and, the Shark Tanks or whatever can't put you in a situation to open up a door to get your books that are number 1, 2, and 4 into a school system somewhere in the United States?
That's an excellent question, because when they did that, if you take your phone out and just Google me and CNN, you will see me there on CNN because of the gates. But I mean, those individuals. So I'm wondering, but as Gina alluded to, school districts will tell you that their hands are tied. They can be using a program. They know it's not working. The children you got schools that are operating, public schools, where 3% of the kids can read and 97% cannot.
Oh my God.
3%, and you got all these master degrees in the building. You got all these bachelor's, doctorate degrees in the building, and 3% of the student population can read at grade level. The other 90+% cannot. And you still operating as usual, and the parents are not outraged?
Man, it should be marching in the street.
Well, you know what? I had special education children in my daycare. The schools get more money for special education children, just like daycares. I mean, daycares get more money when you have special needs children in your daycare. The schools get the same thing. So sifting them over to special ed is more money for that particular school system. And they are not trained to help children. They are not trained to teach them to do better and to learn so they can get out of special education. Once they're in there, they're in for the rest of their school ages.
Wow.
That's pretty that's pretty freaking ridiculous to me, okay? Bree says, absolutely they're not. We have to fight for the better education for our little children. Tina says, children are being taught how to pass a test. She taught math, and she's seen this firsthand. They call it modeling. She also said they don't want us to learn. We know our kids and what works for our children.
Yes.
Ashley says, yes, my mom's friend teaches special need. He said it's a lot and the kids are bad. How do you because see, I got 1,000,001 questions right now.
Come on.
But my son graduated from a charter school. I saw the difference. But when they started closing the high schools, and I can only speak for Gary because that's where I'm from, and they started closing Chicago schools, and then they started busing these kids from these different areas, these badass areas, to these good school, to these charter schools. Now you got a whole mixture of these.
Got a gang problem fighting.
These kids that don't want to learn, and these kids that do want to learn, and the kids that do want to learn have to conform to the way that the bad kids are, and it's just a whole mixture. And I know that's tough on teachers. I know that has to be tough on teachers. Real quick, Tina says they're not special educated kids. It's a special way to educate those kids. She owned 3 daycares and have seen them excel. How do you do that though? How do you get to the kids?
Take the tag off and do what you're supposed to do. Teach them. I have a special needs daughter. I have a special needs daughter, and she does not know. If you met her and you watched her go on a computer, you watched her do things that she's instructed to do, you wouldn't know. And the only one that had identified her was the state of Indiana.
And the thing with special ed is not necessarily the kids are lacking something. They just need to be taught differently.
Exactly.
Yes. Because many times they have these deficits because of poor teaching strategies, teachers not knowing. That's why I wrote this book and why it is still at the top on Google, because they don't know what it takes to get a child. You teach every child as if they are gifted. Teach because they are gifted in something. So I have taught those 35 years, I taught all of my students as if they were gifted. And you have to tell them at the end of the year when they get their good scores back, they weren't gifted. You can't tell them that then. They're looking at the scores. Oh, I am gifted. You teach them that way every day you show up. You teach them as if they are gifted, because that actually happened. A principal actually did that. He told the 3 teachers, you are the gifted teachers, and these students you're getting are the gifted students. But they weren't. But at the end of the year, they had some of the highest scores at the school. So it's mindsets.
That is correct.
It's mindsets.
Right. Take the tag off, like I said.
Take the tag off the children. That's why I guess they don't want my books in school, because I know what's missing for our children. Our children do not have the academic vocabulary to be successful in school. And when you only know those words that are 3 and 4 letters, if you think of all the profane words, they're either 3 or 4 letters. Kiss my blank, whatever. It's only 3 or 4 letters. So when you remove that and give them advanced vocabulary, and they got to communicate with those advanced vocabulary, you start to see crime rates go down in communities. You can change the culture of the community through infusion of academic vocabulary into the curriculum. But administrators don't want to hear me.
She needs to run for office. Bree says, I work with special needs people's children and adults. The society doesn't help with them. But Donna Booker says to tell the truth, or tell the truth. That's why I teach my children. The system has never been for our advancement.
Exactly.
Wasn't taught well, so I self-taught. My overall vision is to teach the youth truth. And Tina James says she taught advanced math and inclusion math. The lower so-called kids were more hungry for that education. You know what I mean?
That's because they were just
in our city of Gary, I've researched all the schools, including charter. There is not one school in Gary that's above a D grade, including the charter schools. Now, one thing I tell a lot of I work at a university, so I get adults who went to some of these schools, charter schools, that we don't even accept those degrees. We don't even accept their high school diploma. It's not up to the level for them to come into college. So I tell people all the time, some of those schools are okay up until it's time for your child to graduate. You need to move them to a different school because they're going to have to go back and get a GED.
Wow. Are you kidding?
Wow.
So we waste so many that they thought they had a high school diploma and they can't get in any college.
Can't get there because they don't have the vocabulary. That's why this book is called College Prep Vocabulary, The Purpose-Driven Student. And if you Google college prep books, this is going to be #1. It's going to pop up on your screen. It is the #1 ever since it's been released in 2021. And because of the preparation it gives for the students. If your child is going to college or is going to 10th or 11th grade, your child needs this book. Bottom line.
Yeah, Brenda Lampkin says, absolutely. My grands go to charter school and there's a fight almost every day. Now, my son graduated in 2014. He didn't mention fighting like my girls. And yes, they integrated Chicago children. They don't have PTA. Tina says they must learn to read and understand the rules of language. Then all the rest is gravy. It's just appalling to me the way that the school system is. And like I said, I haven't been visual with it because my son graduated in 2013. So it's been a while, but I've heard the stories of the fights in school, even with the young kids bringing guns to school. It's an unsafe environment, and I can understand why some teachers
very unsafe.
Just throw their hands up. All right, it takes people like yourself, Gina, and Tina and Bree to try to exact some type of a change. I would imagine, but 3 or 4 people is not going to do it. It's going to take a whole gang of y'all. LaDonna says, I need that book for my little people. So on Amazon, girl, Byron says self-standard preparation will never produce a satisfactory result.
That's it. Absolutely.
So you got books for everything then, huh?
Everything, pretty much everything. And one of the recent books I wrote was on character education, guiding and supporting hurting students. Guiding and supporting hurting students during the pandemic. But it starts talking about these character traits. The first one is respect. You think our children don't need to be taught respect today?
They do.
Come on. So integrity, honesty, friendliness.
Social studies. Social.
Did the pandemic slow this learning process down? They took it home. I guess they call themselves bridging until the pandemic was lifted. But do you think in your eyes that the pandemic kind of minimized some of the educational value?
It was already in the gutter. So it made it even worse because a lot of people had lagging internet services and all these kinds of things, especially like down in Mississippi. Some children were told they would get internet within 6 months. So they had no learning to go on for those 6 or 7 months. They had nothing. And some communities, they would park a school bus that had Wi-Fi on it in some on the top of the hill, and the kids at the bottom of the hill will lose connection and vice versa. So those kinds of situations were happening across the country, especially in rural areas.
Oh, but you can go down to downtown Jackson and they're building a new bowl, you know, or a new place to play ball or something.
Education is not a priority, but we're not going to advance in life until we get an educated society, until the focus shifts from all this other stuff to the real deal. The real deal is education. Communities don't get better without education. When you're getting ready to buy a house and move into a neighborhood, the first thing you want to look at is the quality of the schools.
Yep, true that.
So I guess that kind of takes out my question about your books. I mean, what motivated you to write your books? Because I guess it's the lack of structure in these schools.
That's it. The lack of structure. And my books focus on academic vocabulary because I know without a doubt that is the missing link. If they taught our children, and anything you teach Black people, they're going to get good at it. I mean, we look at all the tops. We are tops in lots of categories in the United States. And we are top because if you give us a chance, to thrive, we will, and we will excel. So they try to keep us away from thriving. By keeping the knowledge away from us.
That's fair.
Yeah.
So when you gonna put this bundle together?
This is why I connected. You see why I connected with her. She's beautiful. She believes in what she's doing. She believes in the work that she's done, and it's amazing. It's just amazing.
Well, real quick, Brenda says she teaches her grandbabies how to write cursive writing, and Ashley concurs with that. She says yes, they took cursive writing out. I think that was a mess too. Okay, I had to teach my son cursive. You know, because it was gone. So you're doing something on a bigger level now, right?
You know what? Yes and no. I don't think I can ever do anything on a bigger level than teaching children and reaching and teaching children. But yes, I am working with an organization of authors that I kind of started in December of 2021. And that's where I want to lift up authors, to recognize our African-American authors, especially because we are not just Maya Angelou, but so many others. I mean, Langston Hughes, we just have great we have great skills when it comes to writing and putting things down. Even go back to Frederick Douglass. We're just good writers. So I wanted to recognize the skill that has been gifted to us from on high. We are gifted people. We are a gifted people. Can I tell you that? And our authors are many times they are not recognized in communities and on a state level or national level, especially if they are authors of color. You might hear about Gwendolyn Brooks and a few more, but you're not recognizing these outstanding authors. So I do have a network of authors that I've started. And I plan to capture Gina. We're going to work together and we're coming up with something.
Okay, well, Gina has the Distinguished Authors Guild, and yours is the National Distinguished Authors Network.
Yes.
Sound kind of the same to me.
Yes, and we are talking along those lines. So just stay tuned. There may be some updates coming real soon.
So tell us a little bit about.
I want to update now.
Tell us a little bit. Give us a little background on the
on these authors.
Guild. Yes.
On the authors, yes, I have from Kent State University, because they're all across the United States. Kent State University, the book Warriors is Dr. Natasha Evans, and she has her own social service agency there, but she is an outstanding author, and I love the fact that she writes books for our children of color. And this one is about inspire me, everything I can be from A to Z, but she's not writing about careers that we came up with as a teacher and a firefighter. She's writing about 21st century careers in her book. So she said, in here, I'll just read a little part of this page where she talks about the student is reading. He said, Autumn smiled. Okay, does everyone still have their thinking caps on? I study how the world's resources are distributed by collecting and analyzing data to determine economic trends. And TJ says, cool. Mia says, so friends, who does she want to be? Someone who studies the world's resources and distributes and collecting data and analyzing data to determine economic trends. And they said, Autumn grinned, and she said she wants to be nationally a national economist. And she said, yeah, just like Abraham Lincoln Harris Jr. And the students asked, who is that? And she said he was a nationally recognized African-American economist. So the students didn't know that African-American had these high-level jobs, but they did, just like with George Washington Carver with the peanuts. You know, it's just so many things that we need in the books for the children to read. And we need authors who write to that void, you know, write to our children, things they can relate to. And we have this one, Life During the Coronavirus Pandemic. This is Audrey Burgess from down near in Mississippi, some part of Mississippi. Audrey wrote about the pandemic, but she has real life stories. Like this one said, COVID-19 and the homeless. So there's a poem in there about COVID-19 and the homeless. And this book is in schools, in many schools across the state of Mississippi. This book is, and at Jackson State University, Alcorn State, and a lot of other schools and colleges down there. Life During the Coronavirus Pandemic. That's Audrey Burgess. And we have leadership. He's head of Watchwell Communication, Orlando Caesar. I don't know if you heard of him, but if you Google Watchwell Communication, you see Orlando is a very important guy when it comes to speaking to large audiences and businesses. He's in the network. And we just cover everything. Marriage Rebirth, Marilyn Burks, the author from Memphis. Marilyn Burks, Marriage Rebirth. So books about everything. And I don't know if you guys know Don Parker, but Don Parker, Dr. Don Parker is also a professional development presenter across the United States, but especially in Illinois, Indiana. Dr. Don Parker, Building Bridges, an excellent book. He's a young man that's an excellent author.
So tell us, Viola, what direction is the Distinguished Authors Network? What direction is it going in?
Right now, they are looking forward to solidifying all of the organizational structure before we progress to the next levels, because we just got started in December of 2021. So we're still in the early stage of organization, but to recruit and get more authors into the network, that is the trail. And here's
real quick, Byron says his mother was a teacher for 50 years. And she said that she saw a decline in the desire to learn in the students and a lack of motivation from the parents with their children. Just wanted to get his comment out there. Go ahead. What were you going to say, Viola?
Dr. Frankie Swope, who has My Angry Child, because a lot of the children are angry. My Angry Child, What Must I Do? We Can Help. And it talks about in this book about the lemonade. You know, when someone throws you a lemon, it might be sour, but you can make lemonade from it and it will be good. So
you could use that book to pop your angry child.
No, we don't want to do that.
Well, you know, I think about it. It's not a void as much as it is a silencer. It's, you know, on our education. It just it seems like it's being forced down versus you know, the stupid. I mean, the stupid. When I say the stupid, I mean the stuff that they keep in books that's not true about Columbus and, you know, founding fathers and things like that. That they continuously keep preaching or teaching these lies over and over again. And then when you tell them it's not the truth, it's like ain't nobody listening. It's like the bulb is going out. You know, ain't nobody paying attention.
One of the problems with literacy is that if you don't have a reader in the home, you won't send a reader to school.
True.
You know, when you listen to a child that says, I don't like to read, That child doesn't understand she has not found a book she loves to read. And that's what we've got to change the narrative, is to provide literature that a child can identify with when they read it. The books have to resemble their lifestyle, their conversation, and their experience. And what happens is the system keeps forcing an experience to a child he can't identify with, and it is skewed to in a way of misleading the truth when they're reading.
Yeah.
I wanted to say something, if I can jump in right here and say, in the homes, you can tell the advanced students in the schools, the ones who have lots of books in the homes, are many times those are the same ones who are excelling in school. But if you go into a home and you don't see one book, Christmas just passed. So under the Christmas tree, were there any books? I mean, children need to value books. Parents need to value books, because when the parents value reading and the parents get caught reading, the children are going to value reading. They mimic what they see. They mimic what they see.
So true.
So let me ask you this question, since you put that. What do you think about the e-readers?
The e-readers, I think the e-readers are okay, but I have to look at it from a medical standpoint. How much screen time is actually safe for any of the children? And until the research is in and everybody, has examined, the medical people have said, okay, this is safe. Your child there are a lot of vision problems now with students. They have problems with their neck for straining, looking at these devices because of the pandemic. So everything, and National Read Across America Day was March 2nd, 2022. We saw no one on the news addressing the national reading, the status of our schools in the nation. Who is the education secretary?
That's because there's no financial upside to supporting that program. You can't get sponsors or advertisers to get behind a program that the system's already set up for it to fail. They don't see profit in it.
Speaking of educational secretary, the last one that just left, how do you feel about her? Boss.
Me? I didn't know her. I mean, I never saw a platform where she stood on and had something that would truly change the course of education in our country for the diverse population or the diverse nature of this country at this time. I didn't see any. She was silent.
This boss was a ghost. Okay.
Yeah, and I just want to add, when you ask about the e-learning, I think Kevin asked that question. I'm not sure. But if you think back when we were younger, or with our children, we had, remember those different books you put the
highlights
in,
and all that
and
stuff,
then they read to the children. You actually put a tape in it or a disc, and the book would read to the children. And a lot of the parents purchased those books because it was easier for them to pop that CD in there and let the book read. And so I asked an educator, how effective were those books? And they told me that they were only effective if the parent read along with it or taught along with it. It's not effective just by putting it in a child's hand and popping in the CD. It's they weren't learning from that. And so I look at e-reading as the same way. If you're just giving a child a device to let them hear, or to, just for them to have this device in their hand, they're not going to learn that way. They need someone to help them through it, to help them to, explain the things.
Yes, they need feedback. They need feedback. And from as I told you, I worked with Dr. Ogden Lindsay, the expert on precision teaching. And one thing he taught me was that the number 3 is always important. The number 3. If a child makes 3 errors, there's a problem with that particular piece. There's something, it may be the blends, it may be the short vowel sounds, but anytime a child is reading and they come across 3 errors, that's a time to stop. and provide an intervention right there. And after, learning that, I use that. I applied that in my teaching. So I know that children don't fall behind a year at a time. They fall behind every day.
Yeah.
One day at a time. That's how you remove deficits in literacy and in reading, is to work with them right there on the spot. Provide corrective feedback.
I just saw the comment down there about getting that highlight every month. We used to get those too, and used to get those thick puzzle books, reading books and stuff. And man, that actually was fun to me.
I used to like I used to wait on in the mail because I knew when they would come. All right. That was Jennifer Givens, by the way. Tina James says yes. Jennifer says always the trilogy. But Donna says we have to create our own systems without the fear of anything. There's a lot of madness overtaking the youth always. They did it to all of us. Just mind fucking us. All right, excuse me. No more. Hey, it's normally, Viola, we stop at this time and we have our own life coach, all right? And his name is Jeff Relaford. We're gonna take a minute with him real quickly. This conversation. All right. So let's take a minute, redirect, regroup, refocus. Jeff, what you got for us today?
Hey, what's up? Life Coach Jeff coming to you. Hey, I'm coming with a quick 1-minute thought, and I want to tell y'all real quick, just be happy on today. Just be happy. I don't care what you have going on that's negative. I don't care what's going on in your life. Always find a way to flip that negative into a positive. I guarantee you, if you find a way to flip that negative into a positive, what you'll start to do is you'll start to shift your mindset and you'll start to think differently. Come on now, I know somebody can be sitting across from the other end of the screen right now saying, what you mean, Jeff? How I'm gonna think different? It can't get any better than what it already is. It's already worse. Well, think about it, yo. If it can't get any worse than what it already is, why not flip that negativity into a positive? Look at what's around you. Look at what you're blessed for. At least you got a roof over your head. You might have some food to eat. You might have some clothes on your back. Little stuff like that, yo. Once again, Life Coach Jeff coming to you, and always flip the negative into a positive. All right, y'all. Redirect, regroup, refocus. I love y'all. Peace out.
Yeah,
that's our coach.
He does voice too. Y'all see that, right?
What do you mean, man?
and he grows hair, Viola, just like that.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
That's like
wow. Interesting.
Tina says children should not second guess themselves. Confidence comes with knowledge. So having heard all of this, Viola, you got a book for every situation, looks like, all right.
Put a book together.
Where does it end for you?
I really don't know, because as I go, sometimes I'm at parking lots at grocery stores and I pop my trunk, which it looks like a library. I have the books in there, and the children would run up to the look at the books, and they'll grab a book and they want to read it, but they can relate to the books, and like this book, The Pandemic Cat. The Pandemic Cat is all about academic vocabulary. So it's for 2nd through 4th grade. So this will keep our children from getting behind. If I could just only get the books into the children's hands. I don't know where it ends for me, because I'm an advocate for education, and I a lot of times I get motivation from Nigeria with Dr. Raphael James. He has distributed over 53,000 books, and he makes sure there's a reading club going on in Nigeria every day. So he feeds into my Facebook page and everything. So I am saying I would love for us to just begin to get, I don't know who we need to reach out to, all of the entities we need to reach out to, but I do know we need to start reaching. And I know the parents should be reaching before we do, but we can't just wait for the parents, because many of the parents lack parenting skills. Many of the parents lack parenting skills, so they don't really know how to provide the best education for their children. And a lot of times the parents are afraid of their own children. So there's a lot of things going on in society now, and the pandemic just brought it to the surface. It brought many things to the surface.
Well, you know what? You're going in the right direction, Viola. It power in numbers. And that's why we both are, doing we're doing with authors, growing our platform, getting as many authors into our community as we possibly can, because it is power in numbers.
And the conversation has to be had, okay? And the conversation can't be silenced either, because it's one thing to start a conversation. It's another thing to just let it hang out there and with no action. You know what I mean? If you got a plan, you got to action that plan. So what you guys are doing is getting together a bunch of people who tell stories, who inform, who educate, to maybe strengthen each other. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And, get a narrative out there that we can stick together, we can be together, and
yes,
another. But it has to continue to be done. It can't just stop with a group here and then because you reach a certain plateau and then you're done. It has to continue, and I don't know how to make it continue. I mean, you guys would know better than I would, but it has to continue.
You know what? We have to be the Black Panther of books, the
There
Black Panther of authors.
There you go.
LaDonna said she all of those books as soon as possible. Okay, LaDonna,
you need to have a bundle.
Go get them. Jennifer says, seems to me she's headed towards being our Moses of the educational sector.
All right.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Why not? Why not? I mean, but you guys can go on Amazon and get these, but all of them are on Amazon.
Yes, let me give you my URL and you can pull them all up on one page on Amazon. Amazon.com/author/V as in Victor, G as in girl, Wiley. That's it.
You're going too fast.
Oh, I'll slow down. I'll bring it to you again. Okay. Amazon.com.
I wasn't ready. Okay, now let me go here because I can type. They took typing out of school too. All right,
Amazon.com/author/V as in Victor, G as in girl, Wiley, Wiley. That's it.
That's the only part I know how to speak.
That's it.
Amazon.com.
You click there, you'll find me and all of the books right there on Amazon. And I have my books in series now. So if your child is in first grade, there's a first grade series. There's a preschool series. There's a kindergarten, because we need to hit those preschool through third grade. Research says if a child can't read by the end of third grade, they're going to be behind the rest of their lives. So most of my books are targeting that population, preschool through third grade.
Okay.
And that's exactly why I hit the daycare kids when they came to my door.
Tina says it must continue. If it can take one person, so be it. Be your brother's keeper.
I am.
Gotta do it. That's where you get her books at LaDonna, Amazon.com/author/VG Wiley. All right. And how many books are on there?
Oh, it's over 100. I lost count somewhere. I just keep writing. It's over 100.
Okay.
So have you ever thought about putting an educational bundle together to sell?
I have an professional development bundle already there. It's a series. As I said, my books are in series. So if there's your child, if your school needs professional development books for the educators to educate our educators, there's a professional development series there on Amazon.
Wow.
Yeah, you got books like
can't get no easier than that if you got a series.
Yeah, you got the whole series. Yeah, the whole series of books. Let me grab one up. This one right here. It says the first 10 days of school, pandemic teaching. This shows the beginning teachers how to be successful, starting off just jumping out of college, how to be successful as a teacher. The first 10 days of school. So this is a second edition. So there's a first edition. So they're all there on Amazon. I have series of books.
Man, and I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it right now. She got a hell of a lot. This will keep you up all night.
Yeah.
This will keep you up all night looking through this scene.
Yeah.
104.
Grandma says we can be healthy. Necessary nutrition, learning activities, supporting healthy families. Look at
So
I love those pandemic books because the teachers had no clue how to teach kids during the pandemic. Man, it was horrible. It was horrible.
And see, this is what I wrote for the pandemic, because students need to get those thoughts out of their head. They need to put them on a piece of paper because if that's therapeutic. If they're writing about how they're feeling, they're going to perform better during that school day. So start out with them saying, I will survive. Dear pandemic, every morning they got something to say to somebody, but many times they don't have anyone there to allow them to vent and get that out of their heads. So they don't need therapy and do anything that's terrible in society. So they need to be able to write about the pandemic. So this is a journal where they start writing. So I just, like I say, got tons of books. I tried to think of everything that I would need if I was still in the classroom as a teacher, everything I would need to make sure my students were successful every single day.
And I see, I'm looking still on Amazon, and I see where not only are you trying to, teach students, but you're teaching pets too. You got one here that says no rat, no. One hungry rat. I mean,
you know what? The research says the number one way to improve reading is to reread familiar text. So they read that story, read it again, read and read again. That's for our early learners. Yes, that's one of the books there for the early learners.
Okay. There's Marcella.
Hey, everyone.
Marcy.
Hello.
So
Viola,
this is something else.
We're getting near the end, but I do want to take time to talk about where you're going in May.
In May, yes. I think you asked me that before. I'm going to Memphis to the Memphis Authors Festival. It's like Memphis in May. We jumpstart the event at the Benjamin Hooks Library there in Memphis. And that will be with Mr. Richard Grant he has his own TV show, as well as he's a New York Times writer, Smithsonian Magazine writer, as well as Wall Street. He writes for those three. So he will be the guest speaker there, and we will be the other authors there meeting people. We'll have the authors of Mose Bowles. Just in case you don't know Mose Bowles, this little young man who he was less than a teenager when he started with Mose Bowles, but he designed all the bow ties for the NBA team.
Oh, yeah.
Including Barack Obama's bow ties. So he will be there as well, and many of the authors the author who wrote the Memphis Massacre will be there. So all of us will be there, and I will be presenting my authors along with one of my friends, Miss Gina Gatson. I'll be presenting her book, Alpha's Adventures. That will be there. I'll be presenting those to our New York Times friends and everything. So it's going to be a big thing there in Memphis, and 60 authors, and I get a chance to see firsthand iCloud 901. That is a recording studio there in the library. Only one in the nation. I think that is the top library in the nation, most innovative library in the nation. So I will be there at the Benjamin Hooks Library there in Memphis, and young people can come and record their own song. Everything is free. All kind of crafts and robotics and skills for teaching kids. The entire family is invited that day. The mayor of Memphis, everybody will be there on that day. The Memphis in May, this is the kickoff at the Benjamin Hooks Library, and I will be one of those authors, fortunate enough to be with Mr. Richard Grant of New York Times.
You are so excitable. I mean, you great. I mean, goodness, her energy level is all the way to the roof. Jennifer Gibbons says Memphis is considered the Nile of America. Wonderful place for you to continue to expand your platform. Let me ask you, do you have any audiobooks?
No, I don't have any audiobooks yet.
100 damn books and you ain't got an audio.
Not yet. Not yet.
I
want these kids to read in person. I want them to read in person. Come out there. And they need tangible books in their hands.
Yes.
Children need books in their hands, and put down the remote controls, put down devices. Take a book, put books in hands. That's what is another missing element in our society today.
You got business people who are on the road that don't have time to be flipping through. Go ahead, Kevin. You're on mute. You're on mute. Muted.
I was going to support what Greg was saying. Statistics say that because we had this conversation earlier. They said if you don't have a reader in the house, you won't have a reader that you put out on the house. But a lot of people learn more audibly than they do reading. But if you can get a child engaged in a story that a parent is sharing with them, they can hand the book off to them. So you got two different conversations, and that book could be shared. So it's also for a marketing aspect of it. It's a part of the market that you're actually missing, because a lot of those people that you're trying to get to support you are busy people, and they listen to books while they're on planes, trains, waiting in a hotel
Audible.
room, or whatever the case may be.
I do
So
a lot of
That's
Audible.
probably my next level that I'll be going to.
No, ain't no probably to it. You got it. Yeah. If
all of my books are ebooks. All of my ebooks.
Hey, Gina, quit grinning up there because you got to do it too.
Yeah.
Quit grinning.
No, I'm not doing it because my books are children's books, and children, they do need to pick up books and put books in their hands. I mean, we got to get back to the basics when it comes to children.
Okay,
so that
but
Audible thing.
Here's my thing with that audio thing, okay? Because you know, how many kids do you see sitting down with that? They got headphones on, they got earpieces in, okay? A lot of these kids got that. You got to get to these kids, okay? And you got to follow them.
But we need to teach them to pick up a book and read, though. We have to teach them that.
But the other thing is, you also have to stay true with the times, because that little thing in handheld has gotten ahead of what we used to do. What we need to do is to go ahead and embrace the technology and then reverse the system through the conversations we're having to handle the book. It's just like I will tell you, every book that I have that's hardcover that I have given 5 stars, I've got on Audible, because I reread those books and so forth. So that's 2 purchases. So you look at the fact that you've got 104 books. You've got teachers that are no longer teaching. If you want a teacher to fall back in love with teaching and educating, you have to create allyships, create that conversation to whereas they will listen to your book, your story, and you can hire someone to read the book for you, and then actually read the book during your presentations or your workshops with these teachers.
Yeah, I'm right.
You've got to build that community through every available access you have to you, even though you personally may not agree to it. You have to sit and bend that system into your favor.
And the way to do that is just like you're saying with the technology. So when they go back to look for another book, they go look for another book. They might pick up the book and read it versus trying to find the Audible.
Here's my thing too. Bree says that she reads to her babies, and they love it. We connect, and she agrees with what Gina said. But here's my thing: they're hearing your voice when you're reading to them. They're hearing you. Okay, if you don't have something that pops up in a book or something like that, you're not going to get these kids readily. All right. Yes, we want the kids to sit down and read a book. We do want that. All right. But let's get them to at least listen to what's on those pages. You know what I mean? Go ahead.
And you know, with me, I used to read to my son and then to my 2 grandchildren. And I know in the school system where I live at, they're now bringing where teachers and parents are actually coming into the elementary schools and reading to the children. And that piques their interest, because sometimes, like you said, it's so much technology, the games and things of that nature that's out here now. And that's what's the kids' focus is on that. But when they're able to hear, sometimes the parents are busy. Sometimes parents don't care. But when you have the audio books and they're hearing and they're like, you know, just like they watch television, because they could be focused on their game, but then they hear something on the TV and they're like, you know, like, oh, wait a minute, what is that?
You have the ability to create different characters and use different voices, different things. You know,
and it makes it fun. It makes it fun, and it brings the into
the other thing that
them just hearing it.
The other thing you have to realize is the same way with music. The sound of your voice has a rhythm and a pace to it. And if you can pick up the rhythm and the pace, what happens is, because of that pace, when you start to have conversation, you find out that a lot of times you're reciting that rhythm of that conversation or how you're speaking, and they learn how to speak through listening to other people speak. So you never have to have a conversation, and at the end of the conversation, you go, and you know what I mean?
It brings character. It brings character and bring the characters alive when they hear the voices.
It wakes up the imagination. But if you think about it, our technology.
Go ahead, Gina.
No, go ahead and finish, Mo.
Think about our technology in our day and our kids. We think about the way our parents felt when Sesame Street came on, you know, Electric Company, all of those things. Well, basically the ebooks and readers that they have today is basically the same thing that we got into when we were kids. But the thing about it is they did it through song, you know, and it kept
Well,
us interested.
I was approaching it in a very different way because
Right.
I'm standing strong on how I feel and how I want to approach it. What I was doing before the pandemic, and I may need to get back to this. I had a segment where my granddaughter was reading the Alpha's Adventure books through a video, and the children would read along as she read the book. So it was called story time. And at story time, if you guys remember back in the day when we used to run to the radio and listen to story time on the radio, this was way back in the day where, you know, black and white television and stuff. Whereas mostly we use the radio as communication. That's what I had put out, but because of the pandemic, that kind of cut everything down. But again, this prompted students to have that book in front of them so that they could follow along with the reading. So I guess you consider that a different type of audio, but there was still a controlled environment, which is what I think is more productive than just a kid having an audio and listening to them, listening to that themselves.
But it's the same thing what I'm saying though, and Bree, you're not getting the point that you read to your babies every day, but you're reading. They're not reading. You're reading it to them. They have more fun with you reading it, and you know you're changing the tonation of your voice or this and that. You're reading it. Yes, we do want to put books in the hands of kids. We do want kids to read. Okay.
Yes.
You gotta grab their attention. All right. And how are you grabbing their attention? You're reading to them. Okay. And somewhere down the line, maybe they will do it. Jennifer says, consider. Hold on. I'm sorry. This stuff here is crazy. Consider it as an opportunity for Read America Day next year. Do video and audio recordings to share with schools, communities, etc. But Donna Booker says, when books have been in your lifestyle, you pass it to your children by example. We have great books and no laptops. They need tangible tools of matter. These babies are on the sauce of the matrix. We must stand against that outside madness. Remember, freedom of levels with respect. We're on the correct track. I agree with all of that, okay? But the thing, you also have to keep up with the times. And the only way that these kids are more visual. These kids are visual these days.
Yes.
You got to connect with them that way, all right?
Got to meet them where they're at.
I'm not saying anything that you guys are doing wrong. I'm not an author. I don't know, okay? I'm just telling you what I would do. That's just me. It got quiet, but anyway.
I personally support both platforms. I love to have a book in my hand, but sometimes, you know, when I'm sitting on the dock, I like to have that sound, that book.
She just says he reads short story books to her as well, because you're right there. You're there.
All parents are not available.
Exactly. She's
But
not.
that's why I came up with story time, because all parents aren't available, but they still get to hold the book and have someone read along with them.
Which
supports
what I just said.
And they can do that with audiobooks as well. You can have a book and
just said.
Yeah.
I like story time.
It's the same thing, Gina. It's the same thing.
Pretty much.
Oh my God.
Tomatoes,
Well, it's really not the same thing, because the difference is with my videos, there's a person, there's actually a person there that they can see, that they're following along with and actually interacting with them.
It's the same thing I just said.
You just can't see you just can't see the person. It's the difference.
Same thing.
You just can't see the person.
If you feel it's the same thing, it's the same thing.
You don't see the symmetry in that. Somebody else is prompting these kids to get the book to read, but they're hearing their voice. Audio, come on now.
Well, with audio, you just have them listening they can be by themselves.
Oh, it's a whole.
But I think what we really need to address is the real problem. We're not able to get the books to the children in many cases because of the poor selection of books that they have in place to keep our children behind.
That's it.
That is a true problem that we need to address.
And you know that is so true. I actually worked in the media center for a while at a high school, and in this media center, it was the control center for all of the schools in the school system, including elementary and middle school and the high schools. And you would be shocked at some of these books that were coming in. And then, I was like, okay, well, what about this type? And what about this type? Because I am an avid reader. I'm a bookworm. And the quality of the stories and the books they just weren't there. And I was like, so what do we get? You have a certain committee and it's just up to them. But something that I like to, when there are issues within school systems, because I also did it in another school system when my son was young. And it's a matter of parents speaking up, going to the school board committees, going to the PTA meetings, talking to the principals and things, and sticking together in unity to get these books in the hands of the kids. But now we're in such a microwave. I want it now. Let's do it quick. Whatever's the quickest thing, whatever's the whatever I can do, so I don't have to be there because I'm tired. I've worked, and we have to get out of that mindset. And I think I heard you earlier before I came on. You were saying something about parenting, about the parenting or something, and the parenting classes and things of that nature as well. So we need to get. There's a lot to do, but we need to unify and have committees and do it all over the country and not just certain places.
Absolutely.
There you go. Great summary.
We've been talking with Viola Gray Wiley.
Had to put that in there.
Shout out to put the family connection in there.
Yeah, put it in. Shout out to my publicist, Miss Katina Fields. Okay, always
Hi, Tina.
Keep me on point. Keep me on point. All right. We had a great discussion today. So Viola, we thank you for coming on the show today. And
I enjoyed it. The pleasure was all mine.
You can get Viola's books at amazon.com/author/VG Wiley. I'm on it right now, y'all. So let's support that. All right.
Please support me, you guys.
So
you got it.
We're gonna get out of here. You got anything else you want to say, Viola? Real quick?
I just want to say our readers will always be leaders. So unless we turn this thing around, turn this tide around, and get our communities, our pastors, everybody in the community working together and just beat the brow, whatever we got to do to get attention, a spotlight shined on reading and literacy and schools, changing things in the school. If it doesn't make sense, don't continue to do it just because it's comfortable. Come on. If it doesn't make sense, don't keep doing it just because it's comfortable. Change the blueprint. And I do have that book, Change the Blueprint.
All right.
Girl, you preaching. Go ahead.
Marcella, let's go around the hall. Marcella.
Okay. Ditto what she just said. And, for me, reading is fundamental. That's something I've always said. Let's get these books back to these kids. Let's educate. There's a lot of trying to hold people down, certain people down. But when you're educated and know what's out there and know your rights and things of that nature, and that all comes from being able to read. So let's just get these books into these schools and to these kids and to the older people as well.
Yes, please do.
Kevin?
I'm going to say two things. One, if you want to keep a secret from a person of color, put it in a book. All right.
Wow.
If you want to be example of the product you want to put out into the world, you have to be the example of that product first. And I'll fade to black on that.
Moby.
Hey, I'm just gonna tell you, like I tell anybody that's got the enthusiasm that you do, like you said, you're not going to work one day in your life. I wish that I could be there in Memphis, because I'm right there in Nashville. I'm here in Nashville, so I might be around that time. Around at that time, I might sneak in on you.
Please do.
But
love it.
But again, I love the energy, love what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing, sis. Dope Living is gonna be behind.
You bet. You bet.
Let's go, Gina.
Yes, my motto is reading is fun. Reading is fun. We have to support each other, and that is what Distinguished Authors Guild, that platform, that's what it's for. And lo and behold, so is the National Distinguished Authors Network.
Yes.
We are pushing the platform for African American authors so that they can have a platform to present their books. We have had doors slammed in our face.
Yes.
In the school system and the Caucasian community that has said those are not the kind of books that we promote, or those are not the kind of books that fit into our category.
Yes.
We have to stick together, and we have to help each other to rise and rise above this. If we don't, like I said, it's power in numbers. We're moving slowly. We're moving slowly, but with the support of everyone, we can move a lot faster, and we can help our authors and our children and our education system to become better and greater.
Change the blueprint. Yes.
All right. Well, that's the show, everybody. This is DopeliveTV Live. We've been speaking with Viola Gray Wiley. If you're in the Memphis area in May, go check her out. She's gonna be out there doing her thing, all right. And we again thank you and for blessing us today, Viola.
Yes.
And you know, whenever you need us, come on back.
I love it.
Right.
You guys take care. It's been fun. I had a plan. Yay.
All right, it's DopeliveTV Live. We will see you guys Monday. Have a great weekend.
Good night.
Good night.